Hey there, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to share with you how to determine if a rent-to-own is right for you. If you've watched some of our other videos where we talk about how a rent-to-own can be even better than buying a home outright today, you may already then know the benefits overall of doing a rent-to-own versus purchasing a property or even just straight renting. But the real question comes down to, is it right for you? So I want to share some considerations for you as you explore the rent-to-own concept to see if it's right for you. So first of all, you want to make sure that you're willing to make a small investment for a big gain. And here's what I mean by that. By small investment, one of the things in a rent-to-own, and of course we break down the fundamentals of rent-to-own and all the elements in a separate video, but one of the elements that's important to know is that you are typically going to end up paying a little bit over market rent on a rent-to-own property. For example, if a normal rent for the home would be $1,500, you might pay $1,600, $1,650, $1,700. So you're paying a little bit of a premium so that you can have the opportunity to buy that home in the future, so that you can start getting into home ownership today, probably even building equity in the property along the way. This is what you are paying that premium for. And I like to think of it as a forced savings account. It's forcing you a little bit extra so that you have the bigger gain in the long run. Now, another little secret is if you do it right, and we have this in some of our other trainings, you want to make sure that, if possible, you can get that extra premium or a high portion of that extra premium, that $150, $200 a month extra that you're paying, back to you when you go purchase the home. So that way it's basically, again, it's a forced savings account. It's still your money, you're just setting it aside and you'll get access to it later. But you need to be willing to make that premium so that you get all the benefits of a rent-to-own. So that's the first thing that you need to be comfortable with. The second thing is you need to be willing to maintain your home. So what's a little bit different in a rent-to-own is that you are actually, most of the time, going to be responsible for maintaining the property, and typically that's going to be the minor things in the home. Anything major like the roof goes or a major siding issue or windows and things like that, normally that's going to be covered by the actual owners. But the small things in the property, something breaks, the garage door opener goes out, a microwave goes out, things like that, you're going to have to be comfortable fixing. That's part of it. You're getting into home ownership today. It's as if you bought it today, but the sellers are helping you finance it. So you need to take on those responsibilities. And for some people, they don't want that. They just love the idea that other people can just, they can call up the landlord and someone else will come in and fix all the problems in the home. But it's, again, if you're willing to take on that responsibility of maintaining it as your own, then this could be right for you. The third thing to consider is you look at rent-to-own as an option in your next path of where you live. You want to make sure that the home that you pick out is in an area, and by that I mean it could be the major market, but in an area that you could consider staying in for an extended period of time. Maybe you plan to be there 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, something like that. Maybe you're okay to retire there. You don't normally want to get into a rent-to-own if you know you're only going to be in the area for 1 year and then you're going to relocate anyway. Then typically a rent-to-own is not going to be right for you. Now with that said, we do have strategies if you are going to be in a place short-term, how you may use a rent-to-own as an investment vehicle to build your own personal wealth. But that is far beyond the scope of what we have time for in our really quick video here. So you want to make sure, if you're going to consider a rent-to-own, that you have some sense that, hey, if I like the home or I like the area, I could see myself being here longer term such that I actually want to own the property. That way I never have to move. And that's one of the beautiful parts of a rent-to-own is that you get to control when you move. You get to decide, hey, I love this area, I'm going to stay, and you buy it. Or you get to decide, you know what, things didn't work out for me, the market's changed, or whatever the case is, and say, I'm going to walk away, and all I have to do is finish out my lease. And so you're not stuck with having to make the decision of what do I do with this property. So that's why sometimes actually renting to own could be way better than owning a property because of the flexibility. So with those three things in mind, the last consideration for you is this. When you do a rent to own, you need to be prepared to put down some amount of money to secure your rent-to-own option. And what we call this is a option payment. Again, we covered this off in our our fundamentals training. But in a rent-to-own agreement, you have a fee that you pay up front. Now that fee will vary. We typically work with investors that are $5,000 to $10,000 in their average typical fee, but there are people out there that may require a request from you $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. So it's going to vary. But again, $5,000 to $10,000 is what we tend to find is a pretty reasonable amount of money, and there's a reason behind it. You know, the sellers want to know that you're committed to wanting to buy the home, even if, you know, obviously they know that you can choose not to, and that's your choice. So you have to be able to be willing to come up with that $5,000 to $10,000. Now, if you're saying to yourself, wow, $5,000 or $10,000, I don't have that to put down on a rent-to-own, you're going to want to check out our next video, which is how to get your rent-to-own option payment covered for you, even if you're flat broke today. So there you have it. You know, the considerations for you. Is it right for you? Make sure you're willing to make those small investments for the big gain. Make sure you're willing to maintain the property because you basically own it. So the minor things you're going to cover. Make sure it's an area that you think you're going to be in for some time. And then lastly, make sure that you're willing to make a financial investment, again, can vary in range, $5,000 to $10,000, those pretty common, into getting into that rent-to-own agreement. If those things all are aligning to your mindset, then a rent-to-own might be the perfect way to get into your next home. Thanks for watching this video. If you like the content that we're sharing here, be sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe by clicking the button so that you get notified when we publish even more videos to our channel.